Yeah, before we start, South Africa are losing 2-0. These guys, man.
Are they playing those guys?
Yeah, but Bafana Bafana are playing right now, losing 2-0.
Are they are they
Like,
are they showing it?
I don't know, man. I don't know if the rights were given to SAPC. Like, bro, who knows anything about Bafana Bafana? Like, it's like we're not South Africans.
That's
I don't
that's
know what's going
Listen,
insane.
there
on.
hasn't been an active push, bro. There hasn't been a push with these bros, and I understand
Yeah,
why, but like we don't
yeah,
know when
man.
they're playing. Like I didn't realize they were playing today.
Yeah, man. But hey, man, before we get into that, yo, people, we back at it again. International break, the football bias. There's not much to talk about. I would have liked us to record last week where things were fresh, the Chelsea game, the what, all these things. But now just I think we're gonna look forward. We're just touching on Bafana Bafana right now. Like why is there such a disconnect, man? This wasn't even in the topic, but now I'm just thinking about these guys are losing 2-0. It's like we don't even care. Like it's like water down our backs. What's the disconnect with this country? Like, why aren't we like Tizo, you were explaining first, like you were saying something about um yeah, you were saying?
I think if you look at like historically, right, how we are as a country, and I think just generally in like as a society, it's very easy to back a winner, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like no one actively believes that Bafana Bafana is winning anything. So it's just like we've reached a point where we're not even hopeful, you know?
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
cross-reference it for us at a club level, right? For example, with Arsenal, it's we still have a bit of hope, you know? And it's because we've won things like the FA Cup. You're winning, they're little cups, but like the fact that you're winning something keeps you interested, keeps you engaged. The last time we won something as Bafana Bafana was in 1994, bro. Like, come on. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I wasn't
Like,
even
no one's
born,
gonna
bro.
keep interest and hope. Bro, no one's gonna keep
Yeah.
interested and hope that long.
Yeah,
It's just
no,
not
I think that's
possible,
the
bro.
thing. Yeah, that's the thing. I
Yeah.
think when you say hope, you see if they were trying, like you can always back someone who's trying. You
Yeah.
understand? So
Yep.
like I don't even feel like these guys are giving their, blood, sweat, and tears into the jersey, where they actually play for their country. Like, okay, I'm playing for the however million South Africans. Like you look at a guy like Sia Kolisi and all of the other rugby guys and the cricket guys will tell you, I'm playing for South Africans. Ask the Bafana guys, bro, what are they playing for? Honestly, who are they playing for? You understand? So we're not gonna
And I
watch
think
them either.
just
Yeah.
to add on to that, I think like even the coach, like Hugo Bros, made reference to that like the Bafana Bafana doesn't get taken seriously, like for us as a country. He's asked for players when there's an international break to come through a week earlier, right? To be
Mm.
released a week earlier by their clubs. And he says since he started, this guy's almost 2 years in the job. Since he started the job, hasn't been able to meet with all the PSL coaches at the same time. There's always people canceling, so players like they can't reach consensus. So you can see, like, we just don't take it seriously, bro. As opposed to rugby, you can see that, like, the Springboks mean something, you know?
Yeah,
And even at a lesser scale, the Proteas, like, they're
yeah.
important. You're following what they're doing. No one's following Bafana, bro. No one.
No, nothing.
And we're playing
I'd rather watch
better,
netball.
and
Mm.
like, we're playing better now than we have for probably the past
Yeah.
maybe 5 years, but still
Yeah.
no one's interested.
Legit, because Bruce
Yeah,
now, I think this is gonna be his legit like his first loss since he took over. He's been unbeaten. I think it's like if I
Yep.
could be mistaken, I could be mistaken. I think maybe like 17, 18, 20 games somewhere there. Like, and then we just like it's still like it's like whatever. Even when they win, it's
Still
like,
no
yay.
buy-in. Yep.
bro. There's
But
nothing
man,
there.
but who do we attribute this to? Is this down to I don't know, you can't necessarily blame fans. Like you said, we follow what is like what we gravitate to what is like, I don't want to say shiny, but what is inviting. The Springboks get you excited. They do all these things. Now, when you've
Of
got these
course,
guys, the administration of the South African football is just bad because we're
it's
supposed to be like the best in Africa, right?
Yeah.
We are supposed to be the best in Africa. We have the best facilities in Africa. You can't tell me Senegal right now, one of the best clubs, even Mali, even Nigeria. You can't tell me that their facilities come close to what we have when you look at what we have.
No.
But then
In
you
terms of
look at
resource.
the team and then you're just like, yo, what's going on? And like you said, like we don't have enough of these players. We don't have, like, we have, like, you know, your guys playing in Salt Lake City in the USA. You got the likes of Percy Tau there in Egypt. You got the likes of what's this guy? What's his name? The striker, the number 9.
Lyle Foster.
Mutiba. No, Mutiba
Yeah,
and
Mutiba.
Lyle
Oh,
Foster. Yeah,
Mutiba.
Mutiba, Lyle Foster, you know, playing in France, playing in Burnley. You understand? But at the end of the day, like, these are not household names, not household clubs. And even in these clubs, these guys are not pulling up trees. I personally, I don't see any. I just see the Sundowns Oaks are playing. Like, they balling. But, bro, it's just, I don't know, man. It just brings me down whenever we talk about Bafana Bafana, because, like, there used to be a point where we knew every player, we knew tactics. Now, I was sitting with some brews when we were watching the game on the weekend against
Trying to
Benin.
figure out who's this.
Yeah, we're trying to figure, like, we're watching the game against Benin because as soon as we switch on, Benin just score, so it's 2-1. Then we're like, okay, guys, let's try and see. Let's name because we don't even have names on the back of our jerseys.
Nah.
I'm like, let's name, guys. Who do you think is this? We named Ronwen Williams. We named Temba Zwane. We named. I named Mudau because I like Mudau as a fullback. I think he's a proper player. But other than that, bro, you just look at the squad. You're like, okay, Tau, Pesi Tau's there. But then otherwise, it's just like, I don't know what's going on. But who do you attribute this to, bro? What do you think?
I think it's fundamentally the structure of South African football that is down to it. I asked a question on social media the other week. Actually, I was like, guys, who do we blame and can it change? You know, and it's like it's basically down to how the structures are, the grassroots. Look at other thriving sports in the country. The guys, literally from a very young age, you know that you're competing at a very high level. Look at South African netball. Look at South African rugby, swimming. We're competing at a world class level. Like, our guys are world class. Like, understand, you can never say that, as you've been saying, Tebe. Like, you can never say that about South African players. Yes, there's good guys. There's guys who know how to play football. Guys who look good on the ball. But are they that standard? Do they set are they on the world standard? No. And that's why our football will not be there as well, because from grassroots, there's not much care being put in. There's not much structures. Players fall out. You understand? Not to name names, even people on this podcast, like, they fall out of the game. You know, even if they could have gone to places. Like,
what are you trying to say, Doug?
you literally see guys, bro, that could have been playing there, and you knew, like,
You're podcasting.
Look, guys,
but it is what it is. It is what it is. I feel you.
I'm saying it's that, you know, like, for me personally, I played rugby for a very long time as well. I could have, but I know that I didn't make it because I was not good enough than the guy who did make it. I can say that for a fact.
Yeah.
But then you get a lot of guys in South Africa be like, actually, if you had to look at them and be like, and ask them as well, like, actually, I could have made it if circumstances were different, if this and this. So with football, there's a lot of work that needs to be put in ground, and these guys are not prepared to do it. It's a social, economic, political thing, and it's going to take a lot of work, man.
Yeah, man. I don't want to dwell on that too much. So I think it's the perfect segue into one of the topics that I had in mind. With a club that they have a lot of work to do. And I think this is the best position to judge this, because we are outsiders. And I think we've been through our own, Tizo and I are Arsenal fans, you Liverpool. We've been through our own rebuilds. You know, now we're rebuilding all over again type of thing. So I don't know if you guys have seen it with the Jim Radcliffe taking over United, 25% ownership. Apparently he's going to have like reins over like football operations and stuff like that. So I just want to get into your mind. Manchester United, one of the biggest football clubs like ever right now. And I had a chat. I was with some oaks over the weekend. They're shooting a podcast called Another Sports Show. So hopefully that comes out soon. One of the topics we had in mind, we spoke about was like Eric Ten Hag, United, and all these things. And he was like, with Man United, the grain of the club is so built under one man. Like it's not like with Arsenal or Barcelona or Liverpool, whereby now it's different men, it's different philosophies, it's fans, it's culture, it's all these things. With Man United, like the whole grain of the club is Sir Alex Ferguson. Before that, it was Matt Busby. Do you understand? It's not like now these guys have ever had. And I asked him one question. I was like, right, do you guys, when you guys were at your highest, were you guys churning out academy prospects apart from the Busby Babes and the class of 92? There's no notable academy products that you guys bring out. There's no style of play that you guys teach from grassroots levels. So just from your perspective now, I want to get from you, Jim Radcliffe, you have 25% ownership on this club. What's the first thing that you're fixing to get United back to the United we know? Are you going a different route? Are you like, what are you doing?
We need to fix the football philosophy. And I mean, it's right there. You said it. Like, we need to find an identity. And there's no use in going back to the Man United way. As you're saying, like, throughout history, the Man United way was, there was this winning guy. There's a guy who came through revolutionary and he'd win things, Saf, as you said, Busby, what they need is the same thing that an Arsenal and a Liverpool have kind of gone into, where they figured out a style of play. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this from under 8 up until the first team. We're going to play the same way. This is our style of football. We're committing to this for the next 10, 15, 20 years. This is what we're doing. This is Liverpool. Every sporting director that we hire is going to be based on this. You understand? So if you look at the hires at Liverpool, for example, there was Brendan Rodgers, also hired after FSG came in, hired on that basis of football, where we're going to play a pressing style, high press, high energy, high attacking. You understand? Brendan Rodgers came and did that. And then this guy, Brendan Rodgers, it got us to a certain point. Let's go get another guy who got Klopp. Similar concept as well, just higher pressing, more intense, different strategy, but it's literally the same mold. It's been the same mold, if you can actually deep it, since like your 2013, 2012, 2013, when Brendan Rodgers was around. You understand? Up until now. The high energy, the strikers, the forwards, everything. Then you go and look at Arsenal as well, with a guy like Emery coming in, that having to play like a brand of football that is, that's just like, it's beautiful, it's high tempo, it's high energy. Anybody can score at any stage. Look at right now, Douglas Luiz is his highest goal scorer. You understand, at Aston Villa. And then you get, and then now you're getting a guy like Arteta, also similar type thing, where it's an expansive way of playing. So there's a continuation there. You can even say from Arsenal's Wenger days, where it's a beautiful game, but it's more of an extension of it. But Man United don't have that. You understand? They don't have that thing of, okay, what is Sir Alex Ferguson's way? You understand? Sir Alex Ferguson could churn out Wes Brown in CDM. You understand? And win a game 5-0. He could, you understand, he could be playing Berbatov as a lone striker with 8 other defenders in the team, and he'd win a game. You understand? So what is the Man United way? So for me, if I'm Jim Radcliffe coming in, I'd be like, okay, let's fix the footballing side. What is our identity? What do we want to play? Yeah.
Do you fire Ten Hag?
If he doesn't fit into that mold, definitely.
No, Jim Radcliffe, right now, you can see it. You're watching it right now. The summer is coming. You've done the acquisition, right? Yeah. You've seen Ten Hag over 18 months. You have no relationship with him. You have to fire him. That's what
I have to fire Ten Hag on the basis that he has to go, because he had an opportunity to bring in his players, his style from Ajax and all these things. We've seen from the Eredivisie, he's brought in so many players from there. I think I was watching a show, there is close to 20 players or something like that he's brought in from in and around the time that he's worked in Eredivisie or something like that. He's got his guys that he wanted, and he's spent a lot. and it's not working. So for me, he got lucky last season by finishing in the top four because of Chelsea and Liverpool's situation. I would definitely say out, but the guy that I get in must be something that fits to the mold that we want to play in. I think they could change a manager, but if they don't change the mold and they don't have a way of going forward, it's going to be the same thing.
And then
That's what I would
Tizo,
do.
for you, are you in agreement with that? Because I heard you say no, so I don't know if we're disagreeing with the sentiment of firing Ten
I'm
Hag.
disagreeing. I am. Not because I'm a fan of Ten Hag, or not because I feel that he's really done anything that warrants him staying, but I feel like taking the managerial job at United is like drinking from a poison chalice. Like, you're constantly going to be compared to Sir Alex Ferguson, and no one's going to live up to that. I don't care who you are. They could have stuck Pep Guardiola in there, and he's not going to live up to what Sir Alex Ferguson did, because Neo made the point that he could win with anyone at any time. No one else is doing that. You get what I'm saying? I feel like as much as Ten Hag has brought in his players, the issues at United aren't really player driven. They're fundamental issues. You know, I think the chat that we are having with regards to Bafana feeds directly into this, because Sir Alex Ferguson was probably doing better than he should have, given what he has. I mean, we heard Ronaldo's comments when he came back to the club saying that nothing's changed here. You know, from the time that I left, I came back here, and it's the equipment is the same. The people that are preparing the meals are the same. Like, how is that possible? You're
Yeah,
not moving forward as a club. That's
as
bigger
a
than the
club,
coach.
yes,
You know,
of
as
course.
a coach, you could bring in the right, you could bring in players that you feel are going to play well for you, but if you bring them into a broken system, only one thing's going to happen there. You know, it's not by mistake that we've seen world class players play at an elite level, and when they get to United, they're a shadow of themselves. We're seeing it happen over and over and over
So,
again, and
So
it's
then
because
how do you so if you're saying so I get that. I get what you're saying, that it's the issues are deep rooted, and I'm somewhere in the middle of what you're saying and what Neil's saying, because
sure,
I'm Jim Radcliffe. I have no my job is fresh. I need to prove, right, that I'm worth this 25%. He needs to win over the fans, number one. That's what he needs to do. So when he gets there, he can't be pandering to Ten Hag. And I get to a certain point that any manager that comes there is going to be under severe pressure, right? But Ten Hag had basically this season, I feel like they gave him the slate. They were like, okay, my bro. They might not have given him everything he wanted, but Mount was very high on his list, right?
of
But
course,
Anthony was very high on his list. They've given
of
him
course,
what he wants. But now
yes.
when he's fighting with players, you know, Ronaldo, Sancho, Varane now, when you are tactically inept, when you're playing teams like, I don't know, like Burnley and whatever at Sheffield, fine, you might win the game, but your overall gameplay in the game is not conducive. Even when you're playing against Copenhagen, you're getting out
Of
by the skin
course,
of your teeth. And
yes.
I just don't personally feel like he's got the minerals to take them forward. Although I will say I wouldn't fire him coming in, because that's like a baptism of fire. I wouldn't do it straight away. I would say, okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna give you time to hang yourself, because I want the fans to see that I'm for the club and whatever the case might be. So I think I'm somewhere in the middle of that. You don't fire him,
they're not
but
going to gain
give him,
anything from
yeah.
firing him, because
For
you're
me,
bringing in a
yeah.
new coach, and the first excuse that they're going to use, that, like, if that coach doesn't come in and get them top four, for example, which is a realistic expectation for them this
Yes.
season, he's going to say, but it wasn't my squad, right? And what's that
Yeah.
going to lead to? No, give me my squad and I'll achieve what you're asking me to achieve. And it was the same thing when Ten Hag came in, right? But you
I
get
rate
your
that's the
squad,
thing.
and still,
I rate that's what they need to do though, because remember that everybody they've been doing this since David Moyes. Everybody that came in got their own players and tried and it didn't work, right? So that's what I was saying. The first thing that I would change would be the footballing in terms of what direction are we doing. So if I'm Jim and it doesn't how Ten Hag is playing does not fit in what we're trying to do, where we're trying to go, within the next 5, 10 years, 15 years, in terms of how we want to play, then he has to go. Let him go. Let's start off like they've wasted the money. You want to give him more
It's
money
done.
now in January. You understand?
Yeah.
So
And it shouldn't
I'd
be a
just
money
say,
thing.
so,
I think sometimes
yeah,
coaches, like for me, it's not about giving him more money. I think
yeah,
they have a reasonable amount of talent for them to be able to get by without needing to like they're not at the beginning stages of their rebuild, you know? They're closer towards the end of that rebuild than they are at the
that's sad.
beginning in terms of players. In terms of
Yeah.
players,
Yeah.
right? Because
Mm-hmm.
he wanted a winger, right? They went and got him Sancho. That didn't work. They went and got him Anthony. Anthony and Sancho play the same position. So you're spending
Of
close to
course,
100 million for two players that are playing the same position. So, like, that's what I'm saying. In terms of talent, they have the talent.
140.
But it's just like, like, give him a chance where if you're Sir Jim Radcliffe, you come in there, change everything else, right?
Mm.
And if still they're not performing, if still Eric Ten Hag can't find a way to make it work when everything else is now moving in the right direction, then you know that he's not the man for the job. But don't let him be the starting point. Like, don't change him first. Because what happens is you're united, so you're also not going to go and experiment too much with the coach you're going to bring in, right? You're
of
not going to
course.
bring in some coach that we don't know anyone about. You're going to bring in an established name who's going to come in with his own ideas. You're speaking about a rebuild, but that coach is going to come in. So let's say they get someone like I don't know, Max Allegri, you know, he's not coming in to say, I'm going to listen to you as Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He's been there, he's done that. He's coming in to tell you, right? And as a club, is that what you need? Or do you need someone that has been humbled by the results that they've been getting and
Mhm.
knows that they were lucky to get top four last season? So they're more receptive to you coming in and saying, okay, what are we trying to do collectively at a club? And I think that that's where Eric Ten Hag is. He knows that his job is on the line. So right now he's more malleable. You know, he's open to say, okay, what does the club want? What direction
Mhm.
do you guys want us to go? Let me adapt my philosophy, my thoughts, my policies to that. As opposed to bringing in a new coach who won't be as receptive. And then, like, now you're moving back instead of moving
Yeah,
forward. And United can't
Mm.
afford to do that anymore. Like, the
but
time
see,
for that is
it's
gone.
very difficult for a coach to change his entire philosophy, and then like if that's what I'm trying to say. Like, what's Ten Hag's philosophy at Man United? What is he doing? What's the style of play? Like, I don't know. I've
You
watched a
see,
few of their
I can't
games.
answer that. There
Yeah.
isn't.
Inshallah.
So
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 the fact that there isn't a philosophy should make it easier to change, shouldn't it?
I think
It
you're
should make it
right.
easier to change the
I think
manager.
he has one, but it's just not working. That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
Yeah, but
and
I feel
they
Yeah,
give
so
him
you
the
must
yeah.
change
players.
it.
Yeah, but anyways, I feel like it's going to be a very contentious thing. So I think it feeds into why I wanted to discuss this, in that a lot of issues are blamed squarely on Ten Hag and the style of play and the talent ID and the transfers and the this and the that. But we need to understand that if the structures at the top were correct, then he wouldn't have all of these problems to deal with. Because if the structure was correct, he gets Anthony and another winger with that money. Because if the structure is
Yeah,
correct, when they go and they say, and he says, I want Anthony, they go to Ajax, because Ajax quoted them, I think, about 50, 60 mil. And then they were like, nah, that's too much. So what happens is the season starts, they lose to Brentford, and I think they lose to Man City and something, if I'm not mistaken. They're
yeah.
bottom
They
of the
lost three
log.
times. Yeah,
Yeah, the bottom of
yeah,
the log. Now
Yeah,
they're going
and
to
badly.
Ajax. Yes, now they're going to Ajax with their tails in their legs. Like, yo, we
yeah.
desperately need this guy. Now they're like, oh, now it's not 60 mil,
Severny.
it's 100 mil, or whatever the case might
Yeah,
be. So now, so it feeds into the fact that as long as Jim Radcliffe can sort out whatever's happening at the top, it
at
will
the top.
trickle
Yeah,
down. The same way it happened with Liverpool, even though now it's FSG out. The same way it happened with Arsenal, where before it was Cronky out. If you get the top right, it trickles down, and then we get things right.
Still like 9
Quick
minutes you
thing,
don't want to
because I
waste.
know because Noah's here, right, and he's got arguably the best goalkeeper here in the world. So Yeah, Alisson, the best goalkeeper in the world. You're seeing Arsenal with the conundrum of Raya and Ramsdale and everything that's going on with these things. First thing I want to ask, like, as an outsider now, do you feel having watched Ramsdale last season, and I don't know how much
Yeah,
Arsenal you watch, but do you
I
feel
do.
when you're watching Raya that there's any much of a difference between the two?
No, and that's my thing. Like straight up, bro, straight up. Because like I've said
Yeah.
this, I was like, I don't see like you know the thing is with keepers now. It's like in fact with any player, you get to this big club, and you know you perform. You perform at a higher level, and I feel that's what Ramsdale did.
Mm.
He got there. We're like, this guy's been relegated 3 times on his CV. There's like 3 relegations. Like, nah, what's Arteta doing? You understand? And it's just like he came in, and for me, he was solid. He's not. He will never be an Alisson. He will never be
Okay,
an Ederson.
not to cut you right there,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I was listening to a podcast on like some Arsenal channel, right? And then that guy was saying when Ramsdale came into the squad, to contextualize, we had Leno, we had lost, I think we also lost to Brentford. Hey, it's Brentford always beating teams. We had lost to Brentford. I think we had lost to City. I don't know, we
yeah,
had lost 3 games in a row, we're bottom of the log, right? Now people are clamoring for change. Now people like Arteta, you gotta go, otherwise you're getting relegated. We're getting clowned
yeah,
left, right, center, right? So Ramsdale comes into the squad when we are done. We are
down.
we are down bad now. Like whatever
Yeah,
he could have done at that point, even if he conceded, if the last game we conceded 5 and Ramsdale comes in, we concede 2, that was going to be like, wow. You understand? So the context of these two players coming in right now, Raya's coming in where the team doesn't need a
you're on
change.
a high.
So
Yes,
it's
yeah.
somewhat on a high. So obviously there's going to be a blowback to that. So I want to just contextualize that in the two, because I don't want us to get caught in the he came in and was so much better, because I feel like we get lost in that he came in and did this. Because
The thing is,
whatever Ramsdale
bro,
could have done, he could have. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying we mustn't lose that in translation to this argument.
yes, and look, that's what I'm trying to say. Like Ramsdale
Yeah,
isn't. That's my point. Like he's not an
yeah.
Alisson or Edison,
Mm-hmm.
but he's a keeper who's gonna be solid. You understand? Literally, he reminds me. He's a throwback to a David Seaman. You understand? When people speak about Seaman, they don't speak about Seaman in the sense of like he's better than Schmeichel or he's better
Mm-hmm.
than Oliver Kahn or all those guys. But he was solid. He was a leader. You understand? He was part of that 1-0 to the Arsenal. You understand? Like where you guys were solid and you could form a back five, a relationship with the keeper and the back four. And I thought that's what Arteta was going for. He's not bad with his feet. He does have some weaknesses to his game, but he can improve. He's young enough, but the character is there. For him to come in when you guys were down and out and actually be able to actually be a shining light in the team, with not just performance-wise, but also in the dressing room, being a leader. We all watched what's this that documentary? What is it called again?
All or nothing.
Yeah, All or Nothing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we watched it and we saw the type of guy that he is and how he beats himself down whenever he makes a mistake and all that stuff. And you need that in the dressing room, right? And I get the
Mm-hmm.
fact that Arteta now on the other side, Arteta goes and gets this Raya guy, and apparently he wanted Raya even before. That's a
Mm-hmm.
rumor that I heard
Mm,
that
That's
even
true.
mm,
before he wanted. You understand? So if he goes and gets his guy, because his guy can come out and fetch balls from
Mm-hmm.
corners or whatnot, and maybe he's a bit more slicker in terms of his footwork. But then I haven't seen this. As I said, when you come to a big club, you take it by the scruff of the neck. If you are really that guy, you take it, even if you're not there yet, but we can see the signs like okay, there's bones there. For me, I don't really think that their level is so different, and that's my thing. I think they're two different keepers, but their level is not one that takes you from, for example, takes you from who do they have, Caballero to Edison, or who did I have again before Caballero, Man City? That guy,
Claudio
Bravo.
Bravo, you understand? Bravo's a really good keeper, guys. Let's not mince our words. He was a really good keeper, but then Edison comes and takes him to another level.
I hear what you're saying.
I
I feel what you're saying. And then I just wanna, for the sake of time, I want to bring Tizo into this. I just want you to bring your opinion. And then in the sense that, in the argument that I say, when the Arsenal was so chaotic and teams were attacking us left, right, center, we had a soft belly, soft undertouch. We had no fights, no grit, right? Those were the types of games that Ramsdale basically thrived in. If you look at his entire career, all the relegations, even you look at the statistics, if you look at the percentiles, that's why Arsenal bought him. We wanted Raya.
Yes.
Raya was too expensive at the time. But you look at the percentiles of the what and the scouting reports.
And then actually doing good.
So on a projected level, because even when you look at I think it's CIES, if I'm not mistaken, some statistics, they said on a transfer value, Ramsdale is like basically one of the most expensive goalkeepers on a transfer value right now, right? Yeah. So I want to bring Tizo into this. Do you think that chaos where Arsenal were in was so conducive to Ramsdale's game, whereby we're getting attacked all the time, we can make all these stops and all these things. Yes. And now that Arsenal gets into a more mature Arsenal, whereby now we control games more. Now you need to be switched on. There can be 20, 15 minutes where you're not making a save. And then now it comes a time where now another team is onslaughting us for 5 minutes. And that's where I feel Ramsdale's game lacks that sort of thing. So Tizo, just sum it up for me, like under 2 minutes, bro. Do you think there's any merit in my point that Arteta's reasoning for wanting a new keeper is because Ramsdale is so erratic and not concentrating when it's time for him to do that?
I think yes and no. Yes, in the sense that we've seen Ramsdale make mistakes, but I think that's just part of his game, you know? He may have adapted his game to the chaos because of the teams where he was at. You know, he's kind of a victim of being part of, first it was Sheffield and then it was Bournemouth.
Yeah.
You know, that's the situation he found himself in. So you're getting peppered all the time with shots. For me, I think the reason why Arteta brings in a Raya is because when you're vying for the title, right? And that specifically that game against Southampton, right? I think that was probably the nail in Ramsdale's coffin, because it's just like, if you're not making that mistake, when it's not like we're under pressure, we're not under the cosh. The game has literally just started. We're setting the tone, and you'll remember that we switched last season to kicking off and the ball going straight back to him.
Yes.
You know, so you basically start the game for us. You set the tone for the game, and if you're going to make a mistake right at the beginning, then we basically can't trust you to get us from where we are to the next level, right? Statistically, you may be positioned to do that, but we're talking real life. We're in a title race last season. We're off the back of 2 poor draws, and we need this win against a terrible Southampton side. And we have every reason to win that game. But then you go and make that mistake, gets them confident, gets them into the game, and ultimately makes you lose your position.
Yeah, no, that's true, man. I feel like I agree with you. I agree with you very much so. I was having a chat with one of my homies, Hot, on the weekend, and he's very much like a big Ramsdale fan, because he feels like goalkeeping is that thing that Nemo said, like dependable, you keep the ball out the net, and you know, he's that guy. White, okay, let's not bring race, but English, just an English, old school, you know, rough hair, just, you know, plain guy, you know. And I feel like maybe that's why I'm not gravitating towards Ramsdale, because whenever that man was in our sticks, I feel like the first season he was in the sticks, and then last season up until January, I felt safe. And then from January, I was like, no, man. I don't know whether it's like whether the name is becoming too big, or whether it's coming to his head, because now all of a sudden he was on every podcast. He's on golf podcasts. He's
Remember,
doing
context,
adverts. He's doing everything.
the same way you were saying context to Neo,
Yes.
it is important to contextualize what was happening at that stage. What happened before the drop off from an Arsenal perspective collectively? We lost arguably our best defender in probably the past decade in William Saliba, right? Very hard to look solid without your best defender. And now when we're looking at Raya, we're also looking at him through the lens of having the luxury of the William Saliba, you know. So I think it's look, Ramsdale didn't do himself any favors towards the latter part of the season, but for me, I think he was never a boring keeper. Like he always made things interesting because he'll make saves that you don't expect him to, but then he'll also let in an odd goal that you expect him to be comfortably saving, you know. And I think that when you're vying for the title, right, particularly like when you're not the overwhelming favorite, like Edison makes his fair share of mistakes, but when you're City, like you can have a keeper making those kind of mistakes. At Arsenal, it's just like we're like, for the longest time we're one injury away from derailing all title chats, you know. So like we can't have you available and as like both of you said, like in a position like your keeper, where it's like I just want safe and solid from my keeper, and I feel like Ramsdale isn't that, and that's why like we had to bring in a Raya. You know, it's just like he may not be at next level, right? But it's just like we have to try something because
that's
we
where
know we're
I
not
agree
going to
with
win.
you. And that's where I agree with you. And my theory that I explained to my homie on the weekend was, okay, I hear that people are complaining about Raya and all of this. And I personally feel in time, we will see that Raya is the better keeper for Arsenal. He might not be the best, like Alisson, Edison levels, but for Arsenal right now, he will go on to be the better keeper because number one, this guy, Ramsdale, I feel when they gave him the contract was a bit ahead of time because Arteta like knew, like you could see it there. I feel like I could see that Arteta doesn't really trust this guy, you know. And then I explained the context of us having to buy Raya, whereby Turner comes to Arteta is like, okay, Arteta, like I need to go. The Gold Cup in USA is coming up, and then after that, the World Cup again or whatever biggest tournament is coming. I want to play for USA. If I'm not playing for Arsenal, my chance for playing in USA is slim. So I want to move. So ironically, now he's even benched at Forest.
But Nottingham Forest.
But anyway, so now anyway, he comes to Arteta, is like, I want to leave. So Arteta's like, okay, guys, how much can we get for this guy? We can get 10 to 12 or 15 million for this guy. Okay, sharp. What can we do with this money? Do we get another second-hand keeper? Or what can we do? Can we do something? What's happening there by Brentford? Because Tottenham went to Brentford and wanted him. He got quoted like 40 to 50 mil. And they were like, that's too much. We're going to settle on Vicario. Sweet. So now they go and buy Flecken, thinking Tottenham is going to come back and make another bid. So now they're stuck with two top goalies on big money. They want to let one of them go. So they're like, okay, we're going to let Raya go. Any takers? Arsenal come through. Okay, we can get him on loan and then buy him again next season. So it's good for our financial fair play. It makes sense when we get him on a full transfer. It's what 20 mil, 25 mil on somebody he was arguably the best goalkeeper in the league last season, right? Statistically wise, despite not keeping the most clean sheets. That's maybe the only one. But statistical wise, in terms of progressive play, saves, and all of these things, he was the best out of the rest of the bunch, not coming into like the top brackets. So Arsenal like, okay, we can get this guy in. And it was my main guy. This is the guy I wanted in the beginning to go with. So let's get this guy in. And then they're going to battle it out. So Arteta, he flopped when he came out with the chat of like, I've wanted to change my keeper in the 60th minute, blah, blah, blah. That's what is his flop. When Raya came in, he should have been like, yo. Yeah, he should have just been like, yo, I like Raya as a keeper. We have two top goalkeepers. They're going to battle it out. Don't say all these quirky things and strange things. Dude, it was very clear Raya was coming to be number one. That was clear from the get-go, Tizo. There was no argument.
the chat was on the back of the Fulham result, right? Where
Yeah.
Fulham are going long, right? They're going long, they're trying to play corners, and we know
Yes.
that that's not a strength for Ramsdale, but it is a strength for Raya.
Yes.
So what he's effectively saying is if we're like 2 points to the better right now, we're like at the top of the league, you know? That was a very winnable game. We're playing against 10 men
Bro, he's not going to
forward.
change the
We're
keeper,
playing,
Tizo. Realistically
yeah, but
speaking.
why not?
Because number
Why
one,
not,
it's
bro?
gonna because number one, like, okay, the same reason he's not doing it now. Because now there's reason to change the keeper. There's reason to bring Ramsdale back in. And he's not doing it because number one, he
What's the
knows
reason?
he's trying
What's
to
the
be,
reason?
in my opinion, he's trying to build the confidence in Raya to play with these guys. And he's saying, I will take your mistakes to the chin up until, right, like, I'm trusting you. I'm giving you the reins, Raya. I'm saying you are my number one. I approach you. I wanted you to be my number one. I will play you, make your mistakes, right? The same he's doing with Havertz. Make your mistakes. I will go into the media and I will back you up to a point where I can't anymore. And he's hoping at that point doesn't come. Or when that point comes, Ramsdale or Raya's performances are so good that we're like, yo, Arteta, you the guy. You understand? I feel like he's betting on Ramsdale. He's betting on Raya to come good. He's betting on Havertz to come good, and we'll
You know
see
what the
whether it
challenge
pays off.
is with regards to like what makes it difficult for them to go head to head is the fact that Ramsdale isn't significantly better than Raya at anything, whereas Raya is significantly better than Ramsdale at coming out to collect the ball. And as we've seen, teams find it difficult to try and play through us, then they'll try win off of set pieces, right? And if they're going to try and do that, I want the keeper who I am confident is going to come out and collect the ball, not punch the ball, not flap at the ball. He's going to come out and collect it. And
Yeah.
that is the main reason why, like, it was always Ramsdale was always on the back foot. So what he needed to do was to never drop the ball to give Raya a chance. Now that Raya's got the ball in his court, like, you can bring Ramsdale in, he's bound to do something where, and even if it's not his fault, where people are just going to be like, let's just go back to Raya.
No, I
Like, there
agree.
isn't a scenario where Ramsdale wins the number one spot back, short of Brentford saying that they want 50 million for Raya. Like, that's the only way I see him coming back in.
Yeah, I hear you. And like, not to like spend too much on this or time on this chat, just to close it off. And now I wanted to ask you, if Raya comes good for Arsenal, and then Ramsdale is like, yo, I want to go. Like, I'm tired. I don't want this. Does he get into a top 6 club? Is any club, because right now Arsenal are well in their rights to say we want 50 million for Ramsdale. And they tell Ramsdale, like, Ramsdale, we want 50 million for you. You were starting number 1 for us. You took us to the Champions League. Your credentials are there. You are number 2 goalkeeper for England. Your credentials are there. You were England international. It fills the quota. Like we want 40 to 50 million for you. Like, that's not going.
Yeah.
If we don't get it, then well in our rights to say you will chill on the bench until we need you. Sharp, must we? You just signed a 5-year contract now. So either we get our money or you stay on the bench. Does Ramsdale get into another top 6 club? Does anyone pay 50 million for him?
I don't think so. Because if you look at all the other number ones, let's start with the guy at Spurs. He's doing a good job. What's his name again? The new keeper. Yeah, I think he's doing a solid job.
Solid.
It's very, very solid. And then you look at Man United and their problems. At keeper, Onana also doing other things, but that's a project that they've started. I think they're going to go with Onana because they want someone who can play off their feet, the ball. And then you go below that now. And notice that I'm not mentioning Man City and Liverpool because it's not getting anywhere near there.
Not a chance.
So then you go down. Aston Villa, they've got Amy, who's also, it's Amy Martinez. They're not going to let go of him, World Cup winner. You understand, like, you have to go
it's
down.
Only
so
one.
to answer your question, no top six club.
It's only Chelsea.
Who else?
It's only Chelsea that might. They have the opening. They have the opening for it.
they just
was
brought in
not a top
Robert
six.
Sanchez.
No,
And
man,
remember,
Sanchez is there to hold the reins, and then he's gonna shift to number 2. They're always gonna
but
go out
remember,
and get. They want who?
they haven't sold Kepa either.
No, they're
Kepa's
gonna
at
sell
Rona.
Kepa. Yes, when it's the
Yeah.
summer, not now. They're gonna let Sanchez play the whole season, huh? But then in the summer,
Kepa's coming back.
then in the summer, no man, Kepa's gonna go, bro. They don't want Kepa. Kepa's gonna go, whether they pay him off or they let him stay in Spain for free, whatever. Kepa's gonna go, then they're gonna get a proper number 1, whether like a Mike Mignon, something like that, but they're gonna get a proper number 1. So they're the only ones that have the opening. But now I don't understand, like, and they've done that. Arsenal and Chelsea do business together. So, and Chelsea have money to burn. So I'm just, playing devil's advocate. They're the only ones, I think, in my opinion, can take them. Like you did, you went through all the clubs one by one. And Chelsea are the only one that have the opening and have the money to do it. But I don't see that
I don't think
happening.
they want a player like Raya. Sorry, not like Raya, like Ramsdale.
Exactly.
Because as I said, like Ramsdale is a guy, we've explained exactly how he is. Like he can like that classic English keeper. You understand that but like the game is moving on from that a bit. I don't see him at another top 6 club if he does move away from Arsenal. It's not looking great there. He needs to fight for his spot.
He needs to fight.
And it's very difficult.
He must fight. He did it to Leno. Leno's dad wasn't there talking on podcasts. He must chill, bro. Nah, he must chill. Fight for your place. Nah, fight for your place, bro.
This
is the big club. Doesn't owe you anything.
Be a fight.
Yeah, it's the top level.
I think he should be happy. He should be happy to be second. And I think second in a club that's on an upward trajectory. Because what we're seeing now with Matt Turner, like the grass isn't always greener. You could go to a lesser club, and if it doesn't work out for you there, exactly. And now you're in a bad way. Now you're in a really bad situation, because after that, you're now looking at League One, Championship. Like,
look what happened to
you're leaving the league completely. Exactly. So for me, he shouldn't be hasty, and I think he's been lucky in that a lot of ex-players and even Wenger came out and said, don't be in a rush to leave. Even if you're not number 1, Arsenal are playing enough football that you'll still get your fair share. And you can't talk about wanting to fight for the England spot, because we've seen that's picked.
You're not going to get there. You're not going to play.
Exactly. So like that shouldn't
just
be
want to go on the trip.
He
just wants to go on the trip. He just wants to be there with the lads. He's not going to play. The only chance he gets to play is if maybe England win the first 2 games of the group stage, and then the last game is a dead rubber. Then he plays the last group stage game. Other than that, he's not getting no minutes. So I don't understand why he's making that a factor in his decision. Because also Southgate has shown, whether you play him or not, I'm going to pick whoever I want. So you mustn't use the minutes as an excuse.
I see him at Fulham or Crystal Palace in the next 2 years.
Fulham. I think he'll take Leno's place at Fulham. He'll go full circle again.
And he's back into being a relegation keeper.
Nah, man. But anyway, so just before we go into just the last predictions of the day, I just want to chat about like the VAR thing that's going on. Like, this is a very small platform. I think there's like 10 subscribers, 8 subscribers. We see you all. If you're watching, like, subscribe, do all the things. So I feel like it's an injustice if you don't chat about it, man. Especially with you now, when they did the injustice with you, when they didn't draw the lines. Not the way they didn't draw the lines, where they didn't, like the offside, they didn't stop the game and give the correct decision. And then with us, with Lee Mason, like just not drawing the lines, we've seen many more. And we've chatted about this thing. Like, I don't understand. Like, I feel like talking about it just makes me tired, because number one, we also need to understand we're in this position because we wanted it, essentially. Fans, football clubs, everybody cried out for VAR. Like, we're tired of being cheated. Give us VAR. Then we get VAR, and then we're still being cheated. So it's clearly here to stay. I don't want to go into should it go, should it stay. It's clearly here to stay. They've invested money into it. I just want to get from your opinion, like, where do you think a change should be? Like, should they bring in like former footballers inside the mix with the referees there? I just feel like first before I open it up, for me, number one, the communication is so strange. Like they see like these guys, it seems like they need to have cool heads, but they seem like they're so frazzled, even in the room when they're playing like the recordings. It's like me, I'm with, let's say Tizo and I are working the VAR. Now you the referee on the pitch. I'm working the VAR, controlling the thing. Instead of me communicating with the referee, I tell Tizo, I say, Tizo, tell Neo I'm looking at this. Why am I not directly communicating with the referee if I'm the one that's seeing it? So I'm communicating through Tizo. Tizo's communicating to the referee. Then they're saying we must wait. Then the communication comes back. It's like broken telephone. And then like just, and then all these guys, they sound like so, they're nervous, like they're so, what's going on? Like they're not relaxed. So is it because number one, it's not like with rugby. With rugby, we saw even in the World Cup, they have 10 minutes to decide on one red card. With football, it's a fast-paced game. It's fast-paced game, sorry. So we want things to go on. The game moves. So is it because of what we want? We want the game to go on as fast as it can, that now we're also in this position. But that's one thing for me, the communication, number one. Now, what do you think, bro? What do you think needs to be done for this to be changed? Like, what needs to be done?
So, like, with VAR, I don't necessarily think VAR is the problem. Because as you just mentioned, there's always been television match officials in other sports as well. You understand? So for me, it's the system came into a broken, the whole technology came into a broken system. I think our referees in the Premier League have been questionable for a very long time now. If I can quote Wenger, I can probably quote 20 quotes of Wenger against referees. Before Klopp, it was him. Honestly, like he when we look at the whole system, it's just flawed because the tool is supposed to be there to help the referees. As you're saying, Tebe, why isn't there a direct line of communication? In other sports, there is. It's not even 10 minutes in rugby. Just the VAR, the television match official says, "I've seen something here. I'm going to show you on the screen," and this is loud for everybody to hear, right? Like the recording is it's all transparent, right? Everybody can hear. You at home, you can hear. Maybe not at the ground because it's too loud or anything like that, but you can see on the screen as well. Oh, that's obviously okay. This is what I'm seeing on the screen. I'm gonna rewind it, and then you can actually see the guy. When you're at the games, you can actually see it. When you're at home, you can actually see the guy going back and say, "Okay, go back." They go through it together. The match official and the guy at the top running the system, they go through it together. Like, okay, I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this. What say you? Then the television match official will be like, "This is my verdict. What are you saying as a referee?" And as a referee, I'm saying that this is not the thing. And what that does is accountability. So here, what they want to do, they want to pass the buck. That's why it's this one speaks to this one, this one, this one. And then at the end of the day, nobody can really say whose fault it is. It's like, it's all of their faults, but then so you can't fire 6 people. We understand, in a way, it's that type of thing where there's no accountability. They've designed it in a way that they can be able to get away with it. As we've been watching the shows and everything like that, they call each other buddy and pal, like even during the whole thing. Like, dude, you're at Span, you're at work. Why are you calling each other Jimbo? Okay, Jimbo, I think that. No, bro, that's James, Sweeney, whatever. You need to be professional. James, this is what I'm seeing.
There's an informality to it.
You understand? And that's my thing. It's been like this in England, in the English Premier League for a very long time, where the referees have not been up to par. I think for me, fundamentally, to answer your question, it's a refereeing issue. Once they can fix the standard of refereeing in the league, where they are held accountable, where they know that even for themselves is do or die. They're not getting a paid 2 weeks off. You understand? You get relegated. Let them go back to League Two if they make a howler. You understand?
Legit,
I'm not
but
saying people
it's
should lose their jobs and like that.
yeah, like
And you
it's
have
And
to
so
earn
stay
points. You get docked points.
you must
or
stay
something. There needs to be
relegated,
a
and
change.
it's so messed up. Like I hear what you say,
Yeah.
it's so messed up because, and you see it with Anthony Taylor. This guy made a
Yeah.
howler on the weekend, right? So what do? They're like, okay, you made a howler, we'll relegate you. You're gonna go ref a match in the championship. What does he do? He makes a howler in the championship, and then what does he get for that? He refs the Man City versus
biggest
Chelsea
game of the
game,
weekend.
the biggest game of the weekend.
We
And
understand.
you and Tizo, you had very much strong opinions on that game. So it feeds into that incompetency. Like how bro, I work in finance, right? Not to give away too much of what I do, but if I make a flop and I mess up helping somebody with something, right? They're gonna be like, okay, you know what? You're getting a warning. I go do the warning, and then during when I do the warning, I make another flop. But this time, even worse than the first flop, right? And then they call me in the meeting, and they're like, "You made 2 flops, Terry. And you know what you get? You're getting a promotion."
Yeah.
Failing up, bro. You're failing forward. You're
Well,
failing
how does
But
this
also-
make sense? You get the biggest game
I
of the
think
weekend. Like share your thoughts, bro.
For me, one of the biggest things that like isn't we aren't making a big enough deal about it is the fact that Howard Webb, right, is the guy that's overseeing all these referees
Yeah.
when during his tenure was
Yep.
one of the most questionable referees in the
Ever.
league. Why
Ever.
are we
History.
okay with that?
Mm.
Like that should already be alarming. Like I haven't seen any outrage with regards. I'm not trying to hear anything Howard Webb has to say. It's just
Exactly.
like, bro, we know you. We've
We
seen
know.
you when you're on the other end of this.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not gonna come in and make the system any better. And even when we're hearing this guy speak, man, like when we heard him make reference to the Arsenal City game, and he was like, the reason the ref didn't give a red was because he didn't want to negatively impact the game. That should be the last thing we should be considering because
Make
the
the
player shouldn't have
decision.
made the tackle. The player shouldn't have made the tackle that can negatively impact the game. And for me, it's just like if we're saying we've identified there's issues with VAR, we're taking a strong stance to make sure this doesn't continue going forward. In that Liverpool versus Tottenham game, you stop the game. It doesn't
You
matter
stop
if the
the
game has gone
game,
on.
bro.
Even if they've taken the free kick, you bring it back and you say stop the because it's much like if a fan ran into the field, you weren't gonna say let's keep playing, right? So there are instances where the game would be stopped. You have made a howler. You've just realized that you're all not on the same page, right? Why are we okay with just saying no? The game has
Move
to go
on.
on. The game has started. It can't move on. And I think for as long as we're still okay with making mistakes, and you can see that these guys are more than okay with making
Yeah.
mistakes because heads aren't rolling. Heads aren't rolling. You cannot be Anthony Taylor. Remember, we were actually watching the first game where he made that mistake, Teve, the Newcastle versus Wolves game.
Yes.
And I told you that there's no way that that penalty is a penalty. Chang, like Wang Yi Chan is literally dragging his foot on the grass to try and avoid making contact. And the contact that he made is minuscule. But the refs are more than happy to give it. And what makes it even worse is the fact that he reviewed that.
Yeah.
Like if you go to a screen and you look at it, right, and you still think that that's a penalty, then you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. Like even at Span, Gadieche, bro, they call you in, they're just like, yo, Tebe, here's the mistake that you made, Poison. Like, have a look at this mistake. What do you think of it? And you just like, nah, good, no mistake here. And then your boss is just like, aye, oh good, boy. That's fine, cool.
Have a good
Like,
one.
that doesn't make sense. You got a chance to look at it. If he missed it in real time, right? Gets called to the monitor, goes to the monitor, and then changes his decision, then I can be like, look, there's hope for VAR. So I think
Yes.
without stretching it out, exactly what Neo said, VAR was never going to work because there's the human element of it was broken to begin with. And if the people who are charged with making that, because as much as you can review things over and over again, if you as a person are not trying to see the situation for what it is, it doesn't help who's there. You can stick ex-players in there, you can stick whoever you want in there. If the intention is not to ref the game according to the game, according to what's happened, it doesn't matter who's there and who's charged with making those
Exactly.
decisions.
Why do you not want it to be transparent? You understand? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you're right. Like, why
Show
not?
us.
Why can't we hear you when you're communicating
Yes.
from the why?
And then-
like, what are you hiding? Why is it us against
Exactly.
them? Why
And it's always an issue to get the audio released.
The audio is
Yeah,
released
that's
like
always an issue.
it's released like a
That's
month
always an
after.
issue.
Why are you releasing the audio like a month after? Like when we've
Bro,
forgotten
in
about
rugby,
it.
it's now for now. Like I can hear the TMO, I can hear the match officials right there in real time. I can hear what they're saying. I can hear what their thoughts are. With this, I have no idea. You can't even hear what the ref is saying at that point in time. Like
Bro,
they don't even want players near them. They just like, no, you guys
Oh.
just move away,
Oh.
away. And they're speaking in secret. And you're speaking in secret so that you can call your
That's
homeboy Jimbo.
exactly.
And then we just and
That
then
is the problem.
even with us at home, now we're just sitting there, watch this guy just
We don't even know what's happening, bro.
like what's going on? Like we supposed to be, I thought we're even gonna be at like a bigger advantage because after the games, like we watch the fan channels and stuff, like the fans are crying, like they'll sit there for like 6 minutes. The Newcastle Arsenal one, 6 minutes, fans are sitting there waiting for a decision. Just sitting there.
Without
You
a
don't know.
clue.
They don't even
They
know.
don't tell
You just
you.
see the screen saying VAR
Check and
checking
go.
something.
Yeah.
Bro,
But
that's
anyway,
what I'm trying to
man,
say. Like in
yeah.
TMO, in rugby, sorry, Timmy.
Yeah,
You
keep
get to
going.
see everybody gets to see
Yes.
what is happening. So for us, and just my last point before this, I think with the refereeing in the Premier League, it is not to the standard of the Premier League and to the professionalism. I think you've got professional players who are literally, this is a profession, and the refereeing hasn't gone up to that level. It's still, I'm not saying the guys have like day jobs or whatever, but it's still treated as if it's a profession where the guys work a 9 to 5 and then they come on the weekend. And it needs to get into the professional era as well, where these guys are earning. These guys can't be manipulated. These guys can actually and we can get guys that are up to standard. Where from the fitness, from the Mike Dean was refereeing since last. Bro, Mike Dean is like my grandfather's age. Bro. You understand how are you gonna run? How are you gonna run with these boys, bro? Like how? Like you understand? Like there's so many examples. You know what I'm trying to say? Where we need to make it. They need to make it more professional to be a referee. You need to be fit. You need to be. There's so many things that they just need to be doing, and not just they need to improve. It needs to be up there. Like if you're a footballer and a referee, you understand. It needs to be up there.
Facts. But yeah, man, like I think we're gonna. This is something we're just going to have to see how it develops over time. But yeah, man, we've reached like almost the end. So I have a bit of a challenge for you guys. I've picked out 4 games, right? And I want both of you to predict the scoreline in each of these games. I'll spice it up a bit. 3 points if you get the scoreline, definitely right. And then 1 point if you get the result. So if you say draw and it's 1-1 or 2-2, whatever, you get 1 point from these 4 games. And then whoever gets the total points, next time we meet, I'll tally it up. I'll e-wallet them a clip live on the podcast.
So let's go. Tell me, what are the fixtures?
First game, for the sake of time, Man City versus Chelsea. Versus Liverpool. Leo, you are a big Liverpool fan. Are you going with your head or heart with this one? Let's go. Give me a prediction. Let's go.
I'm going with both, and I feel that it's going to be a 2-1 win to Liverpool. Yes.
2-1 Liverpool. Yeah.
Up the
2-1
mighty race,
Liverpool.
buddy.
Okay, next one. Since we are Arsenal fans as well, and we are playing Brentford away, what is your prediction on that one? Well, let me go with Tizo, because I don't want Tizo to have too much time to think.
2-2.
You win 2-2 with Liverpool and Man City. Okay. And then now Arsenal versus Brentford, or Brentford versus Arsenal.
Is it Arsenal away?
Yes.
At Brentford, I think you're going to do a 2-0.
So Brentford 0, Arsenal 2. Okay.
Yep.
Tizo, what are you saying, my bro?
I wanted to go 2-0, but I feel like that's a bit boring. Let me go 3-1.
3-1 to the Ars.
Yeah.
And then the next one, Newcastle versus Chelsea. Tizo, let me go with you first.
Newcastle, Chelsea, I say 1-1.
1-1. Dead
I
rubber.
think
Yeah.
Chelsea are winning that one, eh?
You see
I
a
think
Chelsea win?
I see a Chelsea win. I see a high-scoring game. I say 4-2 Chelsea.
4-2 Chelsea against
6-goal
Newcastle.
thriller. 6-goal thriller.
Now.
6-goal thriller.
Okay.
Chelsea come up for the big games.
And Tizo, you went with?
I went to the 1-1.
With a 1-1.
Chelsea come up for the big games. Look at all
and
their
then
stats.
The final game for the predictions will be Spurs versus Villa.
I want
think
Villa to win. I think Villa do a 2-1.
Villa do a 2-1.
Yeah, I think 2-0 to Villa.
Oh, so both of you guys are going with the Villa win.
Yeah, no. Can we cuss on this podcast? No, man. Like, genuinely, Spurs can go screw themselves.
Whatever you want. So you're going So now are you going 2-1 Villa? So you're going 2-0.
Yeah.
2-0. Can we throw in a United
fans.
Everton? Because I feel like.
Okay, let's include that. Yeah, because Everton have a bit of spice in that. Let's include that one.
Exactly.
Everton.
I
United
think
Everton.
1-0 to Everton, because they're just gonna want it more. They're pissed off. They've just had 10 points taken off of them.
Yeah.
They're in the bottom 3. United don't want to play a team like that right now.
Okay. Now, what you going with?
I get that. I hear that. But I'm saying 3-0 United.
3-0 like United. Who's scoring 3 for United?
They're gonna win that. I feel like Everton heads are gonna drop. I know Everton. I know that they would. I know that they would Sean Dyche right now. Listen.
Sean
I know
Dyche
that they
probably
would
made them run 10 laps for those
but
points.
Then it's not their fault. Like, it's one of those things where, when something happens, it's not your fault. It's not it's out of your control. I think he's gonna try to bring them up, but I think they're gonna concede 1, and the fans are gonna be down, and it's gonna be a bit toxic there. I'm saying 3-0.
I'm gonna stay out of this. I'm just gonna watch how this revels out. All I know is that you guys predicted an Arsenal win. That's all I need for my life. And City Liverpool. I don't know. I just want a good game, man. I just want a clean game, lots of goals. I just want like a 4-3. Yeah, something like that.
No VAR. I just want a game where there's no VAR controversy.
Come on. We're past that. We're past that.
Yeah. I think
Stop
there
watching
will
the
be.
Premier
I think
League,
that's what's gonna win the team the game. I think it's at City, right? 12:30 kickoff.
Yeah.
I see a Bernardo Silva goal in the 4th minute. And then I see a fight back 1-1, and then if there's no VAR controversy, 2-1 to Liverpool, because I feel like we have a very complete starting 13-14. I think if we can get ahead there, then it's very difficult to pin us back. But City definitely will be a challenge there.
One of these days we should look into doing a watch along.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. Yeah, we should definitely do about that. But Oaks, for the sake of time, it's been a pleasure chatting to you guys. Neo, Tizo, appreciate it, bros. So everybody keep liking, subscribing. And yeah, man, have a good one, Oaks. Have a good evening.